How are you, ladies and gentlemen? Morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Leadership Talk with Adegoke, the 65th episode, and we're looking at leadership and business agility, or leadership and agility. How are you, my friend, Mr. Myers? How are you today?
Amazing, my brother. How are you?
Very well, very well, very well. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. Leadership Talk with Adegoke is a leadership podcast, and we speak to leadership from different perspectives. And my friend on this session is going to be talking about agility. With the pandemic, there's been massive disruptions all over the world, and it's still ongoing. Omicron, Delta, COVID has shut down a lot of systems in the aviation sector over the weekend in the US. A lot of cancellation of flights, and is still, the situation is almost unique, not just to uh, US but everywhere. It's ongoing. Now, tell us, can you introduce yourself? Who is Jerome Myers?
Yeah, man. So I'm a corporate America dropout. I built a $20 million division for a Fortune 550, and my reward for that was laying people off 2 years in a row. It
Wow.
was the first time that I had to do something like that. And so for me, it was a traumatic event. For all I could see is all these people made these sacrifices in order to help us achieve our profits for the year or accomplish our mission.
Okay.
And that kind of made me take a step back and say, well, what's all this for?
Hmm.
Right? Are we doing this? Because I mean, we had 30% profit margin on that 20 million, right? So could we not figure out something else to do with these people? For me, it was just a disconnect. And so I decided back in 2016 to leave corporate and go out on my own.
Hmm.
And I went and grabbed a dream off a shelf of being in multifamily real estate, right? I wanted to buy apartment buildings. And that was something that I decided I wanted to do when I was a sophomore in college, but didn't have a path to get there.
Awesome.
And so I went, and since we're talking agility, I'm gonna tell you how when you put a plan together, it doesn't work
You
if
can
you
say
don't
that
have the
again.
right guidance, right? So I go to the banks and I said, "Hey, don't you want to give me $1 million so I can go
Yeah.
buy this building?"
Hmm.
And he said, no. I was like, well, what do you mean? No, I've got 800 credit score. I got money in the bank. I've got these credentials. I just built a big business. And he said,
Wow.
well, have you built a business or run a business doing the same thing? And I said, no.
Hmm.
And so we kept going down all the reasons why I wasn't qualified. And I kept giving them all the reasons I was. I'm a professional engineer. I'm a project management professional. Six Sigma Master Black Belt. I'm giving them all the things. And they're like, we don't care about any of that.
Wow.
You needed to execute a similar business plan. You need to buy a property of similar size. And so we go around and around. That's like, all right, you guys are crazy. I'm gonna go talk to somebody else. You aren't the only game in town. And so after running through about 10 of these banks, I realized that they weren't crazy. That's how the game was actually played.
Hmm.
And so I had to punt. And so I
Hmm.
pivoted, started doing fix and flip real estate.
Wow.
And then a guy pulled up, asked me a few questions, and we ended up partnering on the same deal I tried to buy a few months prior.
Hmm.
That was absolutely amazing for me because it got my name in the paper. And then when my name was in the paper, the loan officers saw my name. So they started calling me, trying to figure out
Wow.
what was going on and
Wow.
how they could do deals with me.
Awesome.
So
That's
grab
it.
those relationships, got into a different market, and started teaching other people how to do it, bought some more property. And then in spring of 2020, I had three
Amazing.
deals under contract
Wow.
for a few hundred units. And something funny happened. The world shut down.
Wow.
And my partners on those deals said, hey, we don't want to buy anything while people have masks on.
Hmm.
And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we're wealthy already, right? But so we don't have to take this risk. We're going to wait
Wow.
and see how this all shakes out.
Wow.
And then, we can come back to doing that. And so what I realized was I was totally relying on doing deals,
Hmm.
right? Because I was taking fees on the deals that we bought.
That's
And
right.
in that, I realized that I could be in a position where I would do a bad deal
Hmm.
because I needed to close a deal in order to make money. And
Wow.
so I made a really hard pivot in 2020 and stopped ignoring a gift that I've known that I've had since 2012, and that's the gift
Wow.
of development and coaching, right? And
Wow.
so I've been working really hard, and I think in January of 2020 I did 4 coaching calls because I had one client. It was just
Amazing.
somebody that I've
Awesome.
been working with, right?
Awesome.
In December of 2020, I did 60.
Wow.
In this year, I did about 735,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And so the whole
Well
game
done,
here
Jerome.
is
Well done. Well done.
thank you, brother. So
Yeah.
the game, right, in the agility is just being flexible and accepting your gifts and accepting that your gifts will make room for you
Awesome.
in the current environment that you're in,
Awesome.
right?
Now,
Go ahead.
I know you got a lot to unpack. Amazing gentleman from North Carolina. If you just joined us, this is Leadership Talk with Adegoke. We're looking at leadership and agility, and I have with me Jerome Myers. Uh, the session is the 65th podcast of Leadership Talk with Adegoke. So, Jerome, I just want you to. What's your definition of leadership? What is leadership?
Yeah, it's helping people accomplish things that they couldn't accomplish by themselves.
Wow, wow, that's so simple. So, and what is agility?
Agility is the ability to make an adjustment based on the current conditions.
Wow, wow. So, what's the relationship between leadership and agility?
Leaders see the environment, and in a lot of ways they're able to look over walls and around corners and then help the people that they're leading or guiding get to the
Okay,
place knowing that they're anticipating the challenges that are ahead.
okay. Now, um, I'm asking some deep questions, because for leaders right now, there's so much happening, and you know, there might be someone who's just going to jump into the replay or listening right now and
Mhm.
saying, Jerome, I'm stuck. What do I do
Yeah.
right now to stay, ahead of the curve? I mean,
Yeah.
you had to pivot. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're stuck. Well, first, you're not stuck. So stop owning it. The
Yeah.
second thing is, what do you want? Right? There's when you say you're stuck, there's something about your condition that you don't enjoy.
Hmm.
So what is that? And we most of the time we don't get clear about that. Most people only know what they don't want. They don't know
Hmm.
what they actually want. When you
Wow.
can figure out what you want, then you can craft a plan in order to get to that. So first question is, what do you want?
Hmm. What do you want? What do you want?
What do you
That's a
want?
good one. That's a good one. Now, for leaders, what's the implication if a leader is not able to uh take on agility? If a leader is not agile, what's the consequence for that leader?
Yeah, unfortunately, the conditions are always changing, right? And so if you are running on autopilot and you run through too many what I call stop signs,
Yeah.
eventually you're going to run into something or get run into. And so the agility is the ability to recognize the changing environment and then make the appropriate adjustments in speed and angles. And if you I'm thinking about driving a car right now, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you got to adjust the steering wheel, you got to press the brake, you got to press the gas. If you're not making those adjustments on a continuous basis, you end up in a really, really tough spot.
Wow, wow. Now, for you, moving from real estate now to coaching, and training and empowering people. I mean, what has been the those things that you've had to take on in terms of mindset, in terms of lifestyle? Can you just share with us, our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, our framework is based on 6 levels. It starts with self image, then moves
Okay,
to relationships.
okay,
The third one is work. Those three create all, or those are the sources of all the stress in your life. And so, if you can get those under control, if you can get those managed, then it reduces the stress, which eliminates a lot of the self destructive habits. That's important because the level 4 is health, right?
hmm,
And so our health is most negatively impacted by our poor coping mechanisms to deal with the stress that's created with the bottom 3 levels. Once you get your health in optimal level, right, then you move up to level 5, which is prosperity. Prosperity comes after health because if you get your prosperity before health, you'll spend all of your money trying to get your health.
hmm,
And I don't want people to go backwards. I always want them to continue to ascend. And then level 6 is the top level. It's when you actually get to or you get to full self actualization and begin to transcend. That top level we call significance. And
Mm.
in the significance level, you are taking the abundance, the
Okay.
overflow that you have in the prosperity phase, and sharing that. And it's time, talent, and treasures, right? And we all want to give in different ways. I think time is our most valuable resource, but if we have an abundance of capital, we're usually more generous with our capital than we are with our time. And then our talents can be, sitting on boards or contributing in some really special way to the community that only you can do. So that's the way that our coaching model works and how we help people achieve what we call a centered life.
Okay. Now I want to speak to two things. Number one, I want to speak to clarity. In terms of being clarity, in terms of being clear. Can you speak to
Mhm.
that when it comes to agility?
Yeah. So if you want to move fast, you've got to know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
And the whole concept of having to do a bunch of thinking is
Yeah.
one that I learned through this 15 or 17 years that I played football
Yeah.
was the quickest way to not be successful. And well, American football, not soccer,
Yeah.
but same concept, right? I know you're over across the pond, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when you want to be agile, you're reacting instead of responding to the things happen. So you see something, so it's pattern recognition. You see something that happens, you know exactly what to do. You don't
Mm.
spend time thinking about, oh, well, I should do this or I should do that.
Yeah.
This is the response to the thing that I just saw.
Mm.
And business can become pretty predictable, right? And
Yeah.
life and too, right? If you studied enough people doing things, you will know that this is the thing that I'm supposed to do in response to
Okay.
what I just saw.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Now you've spoken so well, and I'm so thankful to have you on the platform. This is Leadership Talk with Adegoke, 65th episode of Leadership Talk, and we're looking at leadership and agility. I have my friend Jeremiah from North Carolina, that's in the USA, and it's adding massive value, massive value. I want to speak to apart from um, the fact that you have clarity. What's the role of discipline in agility?
Yeah. So discipline means that you actually. So let me back up. So
Yeah,
when I was playing ball, I considered myself a technician. I wanted to be able to execute the techniques better than anybody else on our team,
yeah,
right? And in order to do that, I had to work on them. I had hand placement had to be right, leverage had to be appropriate, and all of those things had to happen in order for me to be successful because I wasn't as strong and I wasn't as fast as some of the other folks just through their natural ability.
okay,
When in order to do the technique the right way, I
yeah,
had to be disciplined,
hmm,
right? Because if I adjusted things in a way that I shouldn't, I would lose my leverage. I would lose my advantage. And that would put me overall in a losing position.
hmm,
When you have the discipline to actually read the pattern that's in front of you
hmm,
and respond the way that you know you're supposed to respond,
hmm.
over and over and over again, you create this flywheel that continues to catapult you to that next level. When you
Wow,
start deviating from the practice or the plan or using the technique, you
yeah,
get loose, you get messy. And
hmm,
then in that mess, there is a true disconnect from
yeah,
you accomplishing that goal. It pulls you back, it slows you down.
okay, okay. So you have to stay focused, which is still clarity. You know,
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying this. This is good stuff. Now, um, can all leaders be agile?
I think if they want to be a leader for a long time, they have to be.
Excuse me.
There's always going to be an adjustment. And if you're
Wow,
a slow mover, then your organization is going to be behind the eight ball.
you're gonna
And
be knocked
so
out.
one or two things is going to happen. Either the organization is no longer going to exist or you're going to be removed from your role if you're not agile.
Excellent, excellent. Now I have three more questions. You've done so well. Thank you so much for adding so much value. Now, um, what would you like to say? Just look at the camera. What would you like to say? Just two things to uh, any leader right now for 2022. How to stay agile in 2022.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I
Yeah.
think the first thing is be certain about the outcome.
Okay.
Be certain about the outcome. And
Okay.
in order to be certain, you have to have that clarity, right? We keep running in these circles because all these things are going to play on
Yeah.
themselves. So that would
Yeah.
be the first thing. Be certain about the outcome. The
Okay.
second is you have to be willing to do whatever it takes for however long it takes until you reach that outcome.
Yeah.
You have to be doing whatever, be willing to do whatever it takes for however long it takes in order to reach that outcome.
Hmm.
If you do those two things, the outcome is imminent.
Wow.
If you don't, then you may get a percentage of the goal that you seek to achieve.
Wow.
It's only when you combine those two things that you get this really powerful momentum that allows you to crush through walls and break glass ceilings.
Awesome. Awesome. Jerome, you've done very well. You've done very well. Now, I have two more questions. Now,
Okay.
you seem to speak, because the depth, you used to be a American footballer, you're also into, did you say martial arts as well?
No, so well, I did as a child. I did as a child, but we have a process improvement certification here in the United States, and it may be international, called
Yeah.
Six Sigma. And so,
Okay.
in my time in business, I've done a lot of data analytics and dashboard creations.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Now, do you have mentors? You have mentors at all?
Yeah, mentors, coaches, the whole deal.
Yeah. Do you want to name some of them, or, just some things that you learned from your mentors?
Some things that I've learned from my mentors,
Yeah.
man, I could go a lot of places. I think one of the big ones is it doesn't matter where you start, right? It
Okay.
matters what you do with what you have.
Okay.
I've got a mentor who gave $10 million to my alma mater.
Wow.
$10 million. And, he started out as, one of seven in a rural community here in North Carolina. And he rose through
To
the
the
ranks
ranks.
at Merck Pharmaceutical
Yeah.
and was the leader of their manufacturing division at one
Yeah.
point. And so he has a capacity to give and he chooses to give. And
Mm.
it's in greater proportion than what other people would do. And for me, that's inspiring. And I pick
Wow.
with him pretty regularly and say, hey, I'm going to dethrone you as the biggest giver at the university. Right. I'm going
So
to take the title from you.
have you dethroned him yet, or you
Not
know
yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. But it's
in
on the way.
2022?
It's coming. He knows it's coming too. And he said he hopes to be there when it happens. And,
Wow,
you
wow.
know,
$10 million. That's a good one.
10 million.
Yeah, yeah. And just that's and he does it regularly, or is just in other places as well, or is it just a one-off philanthropist, or is that just you know his lifestyle?
That is his lifestyle.
Wow,
I'm not sure where else he gives, but he certainly is very generous with our alma mater. So he feels
wow,
like that was a place that gave him his start, allowed him to transition from, a kid that lived on a farm to a
wow,
very wealthy man.
wow, wow. Good, good. So finally, in 30 seconds, what would you like to say to our leaders, sorry, our viewers or listeners about leadership and agility? They just want to drop off that you think must be heard.
Yeah, I don't know if I need the whole 30 seconds. It's very simple. Your dreams should be real.
Wow,
And if nobody's told you that, now you are responsible for knowing that. And so you have to go out and do what's necessary in order to make your dreams a reality.
wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. You heard it from the man, Jerome Myers, all the way from North Carolina in the USA. We've looked at leadership and agility. This is the last session that we're having for the year 2021. It's been packed this year. We've had so many, many powerful people coming to speak on leadership from different perspectives. We've had leadership and business continuity, leadership and etiquette, leadership and innovation, leadership and marriage, leadership, all manners of areas. But so this man is privileged to be doing the last session for the year. Jerome, thank you so much for staying connected and adding so much value for Those who want to listen to the replay, please feel free to do so. And if our listeners want to reach out to you, do you have any platforms that they can reach out, social media handles, or yeah, you want to drop?
Yeah, I think the best place to go is jeromemyers.co.
jeromemyers.co. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's a good one. Thank you for uh, giving your time. And so, on behalf of myself and Jerome, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a happy New Year to everyone. Happy holidays. Thank you so much.